Hello, I'm Mike Swanson. I run the website WallStreetWindow.com, and the odds are that you're watching this video because you got an email from me telling you that it's up on YouTube. If you're not on my free email list, scroll into the description of the video and you'll see a link to join. Today, we've got to talk about Bitcoin because we have seen the launch of the Bitcoin ETF just last week. A lot of people talking about it and wondering, what does it mean for Bitcoin and what does it mean for the stock market? So that's the topic I'm going to tackle with you. And this is kind of this typical story that came out on the news of the launch. It's a game changer for crypto. Another headline: spot ETFs offer an easier and cheaper way to invest in Bitcoin. Now, I'm going to return to these two themes in a second, and also what the crypto gurus are saying about Bitcoin and what they've been telling you about Bitcoin. But before I do that, I want to talk with you about the blunt reality of Bitcoin and what it means for the stock market and what it actually represents, how it works and operates, because it's not how most people who think about it or talk about it tell you. So what you're looking at here is a chart of Bitcoin, and you can see, it had this massive mega run from 2015 to 2017, and then it fell. It topped out around 25,000 and just collapsed, went below 5,000. A huge surge, huge drop. And then it jumped back up to 15 and didn't really do anything when you look at this chart, it seems at least, until the end of 2020, in which it exploded up and went above 50,000. And then it went down again into last year, and now it's back up to 40. But if you notice on this chart, the dip is hard, doesn't seem significant, but was extremely significant. It actually fell from over 10,000 to like 4,000 in March, April of 2020, a total collapse. Now, obviously, Bitcoin makes big swings up, big swings down. That's why people trade it. That's its real purpose. It's to bet and try to make big money fast. It's so if you it does not do what the Bitcoin, it hasn't done what the Bitcoin gurus have told you it would do by now. It has not become a replacement for the US dollar. It's not gone up to a million. It's not acted as it hasn't taken the place of currency and money. You see, Bitcoin is not money. What Bitcoin is an instrument in price speculation. So when you bet on it correctly, you can make a lot. And if it doesn't work out, you lose a lot. Think about all the people that you've known who have talked to you about Bitcoin in real life, not the gurus, but people you know. What are the stories they've told you? Oh, I've made all this money. It went from 10,000 to 50,000. And I had a small account and it turned big. And then what do they tell you? Well, when it went down, it fell 90% and I wiped out. And now I'm holding it, hoping it'll go back up. It's gone back up. That's the experience in real world of what people have had with Bitcoin. It has not replaced the US dollar. It's not become a form of currency. Why? Because what a currency is a store of value. Bitcoin is too volatile to be a store of value. Think about it this way. Let's say you run a business. Let's say you operate a restaurant. Well, you're not going to want to take Bitcoins as money and hold it if it can go up and down 20% in a day or crash 70% in a couple months. That puts too much risk on your business. So you got to have a store of value. The dollar does not swing up and down like Bitcoin does. And so Bitcoin cannot replace the US dollar as a store of value. What about the argument that one day the dollar is going to crash and that will make Bitcoin go up? I'll answer that in a second. And the second thing, Bitcoin becoming a replacement for people spending dollars, won't happen, hasn't happened, and it won't happen because every time someone uses Bitcoin, they have a transaction fee. It's too expensive to use Bitcoin, and you can't, if you use a credit card, you escape the fees as a customer if you pay, your balance quickly. Doesn't happen in Bitcoin. You're charged that fee. You're punished every time you try to use Bitcoin as money or any other crypto. So that's why it's only it's only good for either moving things around you don't want people to know, or speculation, price speculation. And if you bet right, you make money. If you bet wrong, you lose. So why is the Bitcoin ETF a game changer for crypto? I'm saying what I've told you is it really isn't. It just isn't, because Bitcoin is not, it just doesn't really do anything except one thing, and that is it makes it easier and cheaper to invest in Bitcoin. Well, or speculate in Bitcoin. And that's exactly what I've been telling you. The people who are telling you it's a game changer are saying it's a game changer because now it's easy for you to buy it. Well, if Bitcoin was so great, it wouldn't have been hard for you to buy it in the first place. So what all it does is enable you now to trade it in your portfolio if you want to. However, a drawback of doing that is the Bitcoin itself. If you do it on the apps, the crypto apps, you can trade it 24 hours. If you do it in ETF, you can only do it when the stock market's open. So let's back off for a second. I got to show you a couple important things on a chart that's further proof of everything I've said, which goes against what the crypto gurus tell you. They tell you that Bitcoin's going to replace the dollar. They tell you crypto is a safe haven, that one day the stock market will fall and crypto will go up. All that's false, because in 2020, when the stock market fell, crypto completely crashed. And look at this chart here. So these are two indicators on the bottom that mathematically measure the relationship of crypto with, first, the NASDAQ 100, the QQQ ETF, and below that, the US dollar index. It simply measures their relationship every single day, and I've smoothed it out on a 200-day moving average basis so it can be easily seen by you on this chart. So what this means is that when Bitcoin goes up, if the US dollar, if the NASDAQ goes up and the US dollar below it, if they go up the same amount, on a daily basis, this indicator will move up to 1. If Bitcoin goes up and the NASDAQ goes down, this indicator will go to -1. What this means is it measures the correlation relationship between Bitcoin and the NASDAQ. That's what the top indicator is doing. When it's at 1, it means they move lock, stock, and barrel together. When it's negative, it means they trade opposite to one another. Well, historically, Bitcoin has a pretty close relationship to 1 with the NASDAQ, more so than any other instrument there is that you can compare it to, more so than bonds, more so than the US dollar index, more so than it does with anything else. Commodities, it trades with the NASDAQ. So that's why in March of 2020, Bitcoin completely crashed, because the NASDAQ fell. Bitcoin fell more than the NASDAQ. In 2018, when the NASDAQ had a correction that year in the fall, Bitcoin crashed too with it. That's what Bitcoin does. And when the NASDAQ goes up, Bitcoin tends to go up more than the NASDAQ. And when the NASDAQ goes down, it tends to go down more than the NASDAQ. So it's a way to lose more money when the market drops, the stock market, or make more money when the NASDAQ goes up. One or the other. It's kind of like buying a call option on the NASDAQ. So how does that work in someone's portfolio? I don't really know, because you can just buy the NASDAQ, or you can buy calls on the NASDAQ if you want to bet for more. What Bitcoin does is it increases the overall swings of your portfolio up or down. It's a way to gamble up if you want to do that. Now, let's talk about Bitcoin, the US dollar relationship, because it has a negative relationship, which is crazy. When the dollar index goes up, Bitcoin, it doesn't make a difference. And when the dollar index has gone down, Bitcoin has no relationship to that either. Bitcoin has no real mathematical price relationship ever since its existence with the US dollar index. It doesn't tend to, it doesn't have any, when the dollar swings don't really mean anything. That's this 200-day indicator is near zero. Historically, it's really around that too. So there's no relationship to Bitcoin and the US dollar. What this means is that the whole theory that one day the dollar will fall and your Bitcoin will soar, there's no past history of the way it's traded to make you believe that. It's just talk, and don't believe it. So bottom line, Bitcoin's usage in the markets as a trader is to speculate. It's to bet on the price of Bitcoin itself. It's not to hedge risks. It's not to do anything but bet on the pure Bitcoins, or use it to gamble up if you think the stock market is going to do well and you want to increase, your gains. You gamble up. Instead of buying call options, you buy the crypto. So with all that said, I don't, except for pure trading, I don't really see any purpose for Bitcoin to have in a portfolio. And yeah, I know there are crypto gurus out there who have trading systems for crypto, and that's great. But don't listen to the ones that tell you it's a safe haven. It's never going to replace gold. It's never going to replace silver. It's simply an instrument of speculation. What's this mean for the stock market? Well, I would assert that when Bitcoin has a great run over a period of several months, it's suggestive that there's a lot of speculation in the stock market. And perhaps when there's times when Bitcoin crashes, that might be a sign that, hey, the speculation in the financial markets is kind of diminished. And maybe this is a good long-term investment buy point for the next, for the long term. So it's something that's out there. Honestly, most people in the stock market don't really need to think about the crypto. They don't need to think about the Bitcoins. But I just wanted to share you what my thoughts are now on what we should take away from the Bitcoin ETF and what it really means for people involved in these financial markets. So all that said, click this video if you want more videos from me, the like button, and if you're new to my videos, hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell next to it. And YouTube will send you an alert as soon as my next video is up, and I'll be talking with you later.